All right, so courtesy of Project Veritas, we got yet another example of why it is important to record all activated leftists always. We got Antifa teacher Gabriel Gipe. Yeah, I don't really even care to look at the early life section at this point. Even if he's not personally of that certain tribal persuasion, he's doing the bidding of them. 180 days to indoctrinate kids, basically into being insufferable, violent, psychotic Antifa, vegan soy hipsters who hate their own country. But let's check out this Project Veritas video.
I have 180 days to turn them into revolutionaries.
How do you do that? How do you
scare the fuck out of them?
Yeah. Gross.
The Sacramento organization that is under the banner of Antifa is very loosely organized, right?
It's not an organization.
Yeah, when there's like right-wing rallies and stuff, then we'll create an opposition to that. Yeah.
Violence.
Where
Yep.
would you go to connect to some of these organizations?
No, I post a calendar every week.
Awesome.
And then so and I do it for extra credit, so they get points for doing it. So that encourages them to do it. And I've had like students show up for like protests, community events, tabling, food distribution, all sorts of things. When they go, they take.
Hey, is that food distribution within COVID regulation? Yeah, no, in Portland during those autonomous zones, I remember they had like open containers of food that had like flies all over it and shit. Like that wasn't within COVID regulation. But of course, we know that COVID is one big like overhyped ruse meant to get psychos like this in masks, right? So yeah, I mean, like they don't have to actually adhere to any rules having to do with social distancing or anything like that. And he doesn't have to fucking adhere to rules that... were there rules that you can indoctrinate your kids to be leftist terrorists? I guess not, because I guess that's just the default position now. He's just flat out saying, like, he's bribing his kids with extra credit to go, like, fuck with white right-wingers who are just doing what? Like, oh, I love the Second Amendment and Dems are the real KKK. It's like... absolutely psychotic,
pictures,
dude.
they write up a reflection, that's their extra credit. Like, I have an Antifa flag on my wall. And a student complained about that, and he said it made him feel uncomfortable. Well, this is meant to make fascists feel uncomfortable, so if you feel uncomfortable, I don't really know what to tell you. Like, maybe you shouldn't be aligning with the values that this is antithetical to.
Like gay values, child molesting values, arsonist values, child murdering and child genital mutilation values. Yeah, again, like going up, beating up middle American, working class, blue collar, white right-wingers who just want to protect the Constitution and their country and its borders. Yeah, so you're antithetical to good values. Anti-fascism is not good, okay? We've had several years now of, like video examples all over every fucking platform of anti-fascist agitations, actions. We've had plenty of examples of how evil they are, okay? We don't need to say, oh, Antifa are the real fascists. No. This is anti-fascism. This is what anti-fascism is. And anti-fascism is ugly and violent and sadistic and dishonest and evil. Okay? So, yeah, I am antithetical to anti-fascism. I don't care if that makes me, if being anti-Antifa makes me fa, I don't fucking care. So basically... at this point, I don't care what side you're on as long as you're anti-Antifa, dude. Like, that's really all it comes down to.
The Cultural Revolution in the 60s was fixing the problems that came about after the economic
Gross.
It ultimately failed, right? There was a lot of excesses. People were definitely, shot in the streets that probably shouldn't have been.
Incredibly ugly behavior come out of this city, and you can see a couple of people over there that might be demonstrating that.
I have 180 days to turn them into revolutionaries.
This is revolting, man.
Scare the fuck out of them.
Meet Gabriel Gipe. He's a public school teacher paid for by taxpayer dollars at Intercom High School in Sacramento, California. Gipe, who teaches advanced placement government classes, is not shy about his involvement in Antifa's local chapter. He even has an Antifa flag and a poster of Mao Zedong in his classroom.
Brazen.
So, it's like... my wife and I have been political organizers. I've been organizing since I was 13.
Wow.
And I've been in a ton of different organizations. And I've been on the front lines, and I've taken a step back and gone back and forth. And my wife is the same way.
Is there a local
And your wife's boyfriend.
Antifa or chapter?
Yes, yeah. I'm the Sacramento organization that is under the banner of Antifa is very loosely organized, right? And like we have no official like member list, right?
Yeah.
So like when there is like right wing rallies and stuff, then we'll create an opposition to that. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Evil.
So and Sacramento, as a city itself is incredibly diverse, but we're surrounded by a bunch of right wing rednecks.
Okay, there you go. So diverse means non-white. Okay, there you go. Another example. So they want diversity, which means they want to kill you, right? They want to come to your events, white right-winger, right-wing redneck, okay? They want to come to your event when you're just saying, hey, we love God, we love the Constitution, we love America, we love to preserve its borders and its traditions, okay? Even if you're on some of the, like, more liberal end of the GOP, which unfortunately seems to be increasing, they still want to beat you up. Even if you bring trannies and gay people to your demonstrations, they still want to come beat you up. We've seen plenty of examples of that. So, their main goal is to destroy you, to destroy you, demoralize your kids, right? With this COVID mask stuff, right? That's a whole, I mean, this is all within the same program of demoralization and subversion. They're trying to weaken the minds and resolves of your kids with this mask and vax and social distance crap, okay? They're trying to basically create a street army, which they've already done, but they're trying to like increase it, okay? And this mask stuff is just like a way to just extend that, right? They're just trying to they're trying to make every last John Q citizen someone who could just snap into Antifa mode at any moment, right? Oh, he said something racist. He said something istophobic. You know, he said something that was anti-COVID vax. Oh, go get him, right? They're trying to do that. This bougie fuck hanging out at a Whole Foods. Fuck this guy.
And then the other really
anti-white working class piece of shit.
That if you're looking to get involved is NorCal Resist. NorCal Resist does.
Okay, NorCal Resist, but Antifa isn't an organization. Antifa isn't we're not organized. It's just anybody who's anti-fascist, which anti-fascism is violent, sadistic, dishonest, degenerate, arsonist, child molesting, child sacrificing, small hat, hook-nosed psychos. Okay.
Direct outreach for like undocumented
illegals,
they help
border
them
jumpers,
with, like, material support as well as legal aid and support with the help of National Lawyers Guild.
Small hats.
So they work in tandem with each other. So that's why I do like political efficacy events, because I want to get them out in the community. I want to get them familiar with organizations that are doing work, what type of work they're doing, how they can be involved, where their passion is, and what they can contribute.
Yeah, so this reminds me, I already did a video on a Milwaukee Public Schools art teacher named John Fleissner. I'll have a link in the description for this video. But yeah, basically this dude, you don't even have to get these guys on hidden camera. This is actually kind of silly that Project Veritas even did this, because like these people can so brazenly talk about this stuff openly. Like they do it brazenly in the classroom anyway. But yeah, get your kids in there with hidden cameras anyway. Like if your kids are hip and whatever, that is, you know, if you haven't done the right thing, gotten them out of these classrooms to begin with. If the kid is like a little bit older and a little bit more mature, and he wants to, you know, stir it up a little bit, get him in there with a hidden camera and just document these guys saying this. There's plenty of brazen examples of these people doing this, right? The hidden camera thing is just kind of silly, unneeded, right? But maybe in the classroom, definitely needed. He probably could have put like a cell phone in his breast pocket, and the dude probably wouldn't have even noticed. Like he probably could have just like hung out with him, like, oh yeah, bruh, totally anti-fascism, dude. Yeah, totally, dude. Tell me more about it, bruh.
Because it's like every single
you would have done it.
Do something.
Yeah.
I'm not asking.
This guy, reminds me of that fucking John Fleissner new male fag, who like masks up, goes around terrorizing middle American, white Christian, conservative people. You know, they mask. First they said they didn't want to get doxxed, and then now they're saying, well, we want to stop the spread of COVID-19, me, which is all ruse. I mean, it's all just overhyped bullshit to control people and corral people into submission. basically, to being like eternal debt slaves as fags like this are living high off the hog, like living off of your fucking labor, basically. He fucking thinks of you as white right-wing rednecks, and he loves the fact, he relishes the fact that he gets to just extract your money and just use it to indoctrinate and hoodwink and gaslight the kids all day. This is so fucking nauseating.
On the front lines, but I am asking you to be involved, and it is so much more than just sharing a tweet or posting on Instagram.
Gipe seems eager to get his students actively participating at radical, activist political events. But he takes it
violent
one step further
agitations
by motivating them through extra credit in exchange for their attendance.
People that are interested in their flyers or something.
No, I post a calendar every week.
Awesome.
Yeah, so
for the organizations that you mentioned, so they can that's dope, man.
And then, so like and I do it for extra credit, so they get points for doing it. Like, and so that encourages them to do it. It's like, because I can't just like, hey, here's some things going. They'll never go, right? And I've had like students show up for like protests, community events, tabling, food distribution, all sorts of things. So
oh, you're killing grandma, dude.
Since I work
COVID.
with PSL, and PSL has connections with a bunch of other organizations, and also like Sacramento Peace Action, which is like a very old organization that posts a calendar on their website every month of all the events that are going on, and I just put them on my whiteboard, let them know where they are. When they go, they take pictures, they write up a reflection, that's their extra credit.
If you look at these photos from Gipe's
Nauseating.
classroom, you can see he has an Antifa flag as well as a poster of Mao Zedong, the Chinese dictator who is one of the most notoriously brutal leaders in history, responsible for the death of millions.
I probably as far left as you can go. So like, I've gone down those deep dark rabbit holes where like the idea of like adventurism and just being like, why aren't people just like taking up arms? Like, why? And
Good question. Good question, boomers who don't see race. Yeah, why? Why?
taking up arms like against the state, like, and we have historical examples of that happening and them getting crushed and being martyrs for a cause, and it's like, okay, well, it's
like, why aren't boomers just swarming around every school and just, I mean, unarmed, I guess, but like just angrily swarming around these institutions and saying no? Like, I mean, it's like, we don't need this Project Veritas hidden camera video showing this hipster fuck at a vegan whatever diner or whatever, Whole Foods. We don't need this to know that this is happening. Okay, we've got plenty of fucking examples of this already. We've had examples of this as far back as the first Battle of Berkeley, like several years ago. The bike lock bandit. That was a college professor. That other college professor with a really long, freakishly long neck on Tucker. They've been openly, brazenly saying that they're doing this for years, okay? And yet, conservative boomers, their idea of fighting is, I guess, like fighting to get the kids back into school, a la COVID-19 restrictions. It's like, you should be taking your kids out, and if you insist that your kid be in school, the only fucking thing they should be doing is putting a camera on these motherfuckers the entire time. Audit these bastards.
It takes massive amounts of organization.
Gipe's radical philosophy is prominent in the teaching in his own classroom. Gipe goes on to say he's not the only teacher at Inderkum High School who shares his radical beliefs.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, because a lot of senior parents at this point have backed up.
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
so they're just kind of like, well, you can fend for yourself. I know other people in my department who teach like 10th graders who've had like parent meetings, like some, a student who complained about like a pride flag and said that they felt uncomfortable.
Wow.
I've had students, during anonymous surveys at the end of the year, comment about the things that I have in my classroom. Like I have an Antifa flag on my wall, and a student complained about that, and he said it made him feel uncomfortable, and I addressed it to everyone because I didn't know who it was, and I was like, well, this is meant to make fascists feel uncomfortable, so if you feel uncomfortable, I don't really know what to tell you. Like, maybe you shouldn't be aligning with the values that this is antithetical to.
Right, once again, so it's being antithetical to child molesting, child grooming, being antithetical to arson, being antithetical to street terrorism being funded by banksters and corporations. It's being antithetical to opening the borders of your country and letting in third worlders who hate you and want to kill you, and guys like this who are going to proceed to rabble-rouse them to continue to hate you and want to kill you. As he just said, he's going to offer them fucking extra credit to go out there and fucking just throw rocks at you, essentially, which is what we've seen. I mean, that's all we've seen Antifa doing: stabbing, throwing shit at people, burning buildings. Like, the list goes on. Setting up those disgusting autonomous zones that are, you know, backed up by Mayor Ted Wheeler in Portland. It's just, this is absolute fucking psychosis, man.
Yeah, and it's
why I
hard,
was
it's hard
asking you,
not
how
to.
do you make them revolutionaries? They've got TikTok, they've got
Right.
Instagram, they've got this.
Well, that's just it. It's like, utilize that propaganda,
Yeah.
right? Like, these are all great tools on how to get, you know, it's like, I've met so many people in my life who, when they met me, thought I was, like, off the wall, right? And now they're all Marxists, right? You know, and I'm just like,
Materialists.
Political identification change, and so I have a huge political spectrum in my room.
Yeah, notice how Instagram and Facebook, he doesn't even flinch at the notion that he'll be allowed unrestricted access on Instagram, Facebook, all these big tech platforms espousing Marxism and fuck white people and fuck, you know, like, fuck the nuclear family, oh, white right-wing rednecks, oh yeah, go agitate their actions with masks on, you know, oh yeah, to stop the spread, wink, 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 not to terrorize them, not to conceal your identity while you go do terrorism. No, of course not. No, it's to stop the spread. Oh, and to avoid being doxxed by, like, violent Proud Boy Nazi. The multiracial Nazi and Proud Boys, the Oath Keepers. It's like, all these motherfuckers do is lie. All they do is agitate, and they have the explicit and implicit backing of the establishment. And holy crap, what can even be done? Just keep auditing them.
So they take an ideology quiz in their Unit 4, and I put their face, or they have to give me a picture of themselves, and I put it on the wall where they are. Every year, they get further and further left. And I've made them pay attention to where my tack marks are, because I'm like, these ideologies are considered extremes, right? Extreme times breed extreme ideologies, right? There is a reason why Generation Z, these kids, are becoming further and further left.
Are there a lot of teachers like you, man?
John Fleischner, yep.
More than there used to be. And I think that, like, there's 3 other teachers in my department that I did my credential program with, and they're rad. They're great people, and they're definitely, like, on the same page.
Right, yeah, like I said before, the John Fleischner video, I'll put that in the description. Yeah, and people in the comments of that video were like, oh yeah, call up the school district to complain, and it's like, this guy's saying it right here. No, there's a lot more of these people who have cockroached their way into this system than there used to be, so it's like, complaining in that regard might not even work. I think, honestly, what right-wingers need to fucking do, finally, is some action, okay? There needs to be a reaction to this. There needs to be an actual reactionary movement to these absolute fucking radical psychos. Anytime this kind of shit comes up, there should be at least, like, dozens of boomers that show up outside. But they don't. They're too concerned with just materialism, capitalist materialism, and, you know, appeasing liberals and trying to convince them that they're not racist. Like, that's their main... The main objective of a cycle like this is to destroy you, right? The main objective of a conservative white boomer is to pursue capitalist materialism and appease faggots like this and try to convince them that they're not racist. So it's like, we need anything other than that. We need honestly, like, a protest, some sort of action, right? We have to take their tactics and we have to utilize them, but in the other direction, right? We gotta figure, like, things were at their peak in this country sometime between 1950 and 1990, okay? I've said this before. We have to take a hybridized social system, you know, of all the mores and norms of those decades, and we gotta figure out a way to go back, basically. Which means that, you know, a guy like this with, like, these grody ass fucking hipstery tattoos that he probably got in some junkie's bedroom somewhere with, like, dirty tattoo guns, okay? This guy who probably sells crack to 5-year-olds, all right? Like, guys like this just on sight would be like, oh no, we're not hiring you. What do you mean? Like, your tattoos go against our policy, you have, like, clear far left psycho political leanings, has no educational value, you are clearly here to just push some sort of agenda that doesn't involve math or reading or science. So no, be a gutter, you know, like a gutter punk somewhere. Which, like several years ago, a guy like this would have just been like a train hopping gutter punk who is, like, spanging on the street. But now he's like probably making a six-figure salary while right-wingers get canceled. It's just ass backwards. Guys like this should be canceled. The problem with cancel culture is not cancel culture in and of itself. The problem with cancel culture is that decent people are being canceled, normal people are being canceled, while pieces of shit who should be getting canceled are thriving. That's the problem.
Same page.
So what do you think of China, though? Have you been? Have you been?
I have not. I'm actually going in April.
Okay, cool. I wanted to go just to see it because I hear conflicting things.
Yeah. I think it's one.
I mean, some of it's good.
You know, like the revolution that happened in 1949 with like Mao and like the Chinese Communist Party, right? And then like the Cultural Revolution that happened in the 60s to the 70s up until like Mao's death, and then Deng coming in and like opening up to capitalist, you know, kind of investment and creating the road that they're currently on. And then like what Xi Jinping is attempting to do now, kind of like going back to more the Maoist understanding of socialism.
So what you have is just a completely incoherent hodgepodge of, like I said, a whole fat stack of fucking materialistic motherfuckers, Marxists and capitalists, just completely destroying China. I mean, social credit score, I mean, you could like argue, oh, that's communist. I mean, dude, it's kind of like both communist and capitalist. They feed off of each other. They parasite off of each other, economically and socially. They require each other, and he's basically just demonstrating that to you right now. I wonder if there's a third position out there.
You need a two-pronged system, which is exactly what Huey Newton and Fred Hampton understood, was that you needed propaganda of the deed, the economic, and also cultural propaganda as well. You needed to retrain the way that people think. So the Cultural Revolution in the 60s was fixing the problem that came about after the economic one, right? It was like, well, what can we do now to root out this culture that keeps perpetuating hyper-individualism, hyper-competitiveness, capitalist exploitation, and consolidation of wealth. It ultimately failed, right?
He's lying. He wants consolidation of wealth and power for himself and his union. He's a frickin' liar. He's a materialist, okay? Just like the capitalists. He's the same fucking thing. He's lying out through his teeth. All these progressives ever do is lie. This is a prime example of it, okay? I don't want to stomp out hyper-individualism either. I wish that white working class people would stop capitulating to this stupid idea of hyper-individualism. Oh, well, we love diversity too for you, but we, white right-wingers, get hyper-individualism, bootstraps. Oh, yeah. They exist to basically serve people like this. Again, to appease guys like this, to try to tell them that they're not racist, right? And guys like this will sense that weakness and ultimately just pounce. And the American right only exists to basically tell any would-be opposition to this that, oh, well, what you really need to do is just stick your neck out for these people that want to slit your throat and just prove to them that you're not an istophobe, right? Just like sufficiently demonstrate that Dems are the real racists. The walk-away movement is the real diversity. It's like,
there was a lot of excesses. People were definitely shot in the streets that probably shouldn't have been. But I do think that it's important to understand that as an extension of an economic revolution. They were changing the base.
And
then they went to change the superstructure.
So, again, the problem in and of itself is not cancel culture. The problem in and of itself is not that these guys, want re-education facilities and effectively have re-education facilities via the public school system. The problem is that these guys are not being canceled. These guys are not being re-educated. I want re-education facilities for guys like this to be like, listen, dude, okay? There are two genders, okay? Men and women. It is not a thing for a man to chop his dick off and become a woman. That is not rational. That's not a thing. Here's the story of John Money, right? Okay, just one example of how these people need to be re-educated, all right? I support re-education facilities. I support shuttering at 2/3 at least of the current public schools and probably turning them into prisons for guys like this and their minions. and their financiers, everybody at every level. And yeah, in those prisons, they will learn to love their country. They will learn to respect borders. They will learn that you cannot form a fucking masked gang of thugs to go beat up white right-wingers when they're having a demonstration. They will learn, okay, the importance of some degree of self-discipline, self-sacrifice for your nation and its people. I mean, like... that probably sounds extreme as fuck and probably honestly fashy as fuck. I acknowledge that, but dude, yeah, like this motherfucker said, who's on camera right fucking now with the explicit and implicit support of the institutions, okay? He wants to do that to you. So what is the proper response? What is the proper reaction? Okay? We got to do something that prevents, well, I mean, probably too late. I mean, but I'm just like black-pilled, I guess. Like, it seems too late, it seems too daunting, but something has to be just done. Like, action.
And you cannot change one without the other. You can't have cultural shifts without the economic shift and vice versa. So I think that for movements in the United States, that we need to be able to attack both fronts, right? We need to create parallel structures of power because we cannot rely on the state.
Lie.
So we need to distribute food, necessities. We need to create those mutual aid programs that we can look back at groups like the Panthers and learn from their successes as well.
Yeah, remember the video I covered on my channel, the Black Panthers going into the Milwaukee, the Brady Street Asian nail salon and just like strong arm intimidating them, and then like what, three weeks to a month later, it's gone. The Asian nail salon is gone, and there's a fucking Supercuts where it used to be. Yeah, like I fucking said, Marxists and capitalists go hand in hand. They're all materialists. Fuck these people. There needs to be an actual reaction to this bullshit.
Their mistakes,
okay?
As well as consistently focusing.
We need a reaction that involves pro-nationality, like pro-country and pro-people, okay? Like, this is not a person. This is a fucking rat, okay? And what do we do with rats? We call it the exterminator.
Education and a change of cultural propaganda. Because it's like we have to hit both fronts.
It's a communist rat.
That this is what we actually need.
Gipe believes it's okay to enforce his radical political agenda on his students. This tip came to us from someone on the inside of Gipe's school and was corroborated by a Project Veritas undercover journalist. Contact us and send us a tip at veritastips@protonmail.com.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. Okay, so yeah, Veritas is on it, dude. Yeah, you get the camera in the classroom. I guess if you will, you can get the Veritas undercover guy. Although, again, like, these guys are just so brazenly doing it in their classrooms anyway. It's like, you could have just been like a regular dude like me and just, well, they know who I am, so I probably couldn't do it. But you could be a guy not unlike me with just a little cell phone in your fucking breast pocket or in your pocket with the record button on and just talk with these guys like normally. You could even like argue with them, right? You could like, quite frankly, I disagree with you. You don't even have to pretend like you're on their side. Like, oh, I'm a potential financier. Oh yeah, well, what do you plan to do to make our kids revolution? You don't even have to fucking do that, do you? These people are just brazenly, openly talking about it because they have the backing of every corporation and every institution that exists right now. So I don't know, this just got me fired up because I personally, like, I didn't do well in school. I always struggled in school, and in retrospect, it was because of the, albeit nowhere near as extreme, but there was a progressive, gynocentric, multicultural, multiracial, kind of globalist influence in my school as well, in my schooling as well, and it's just come to this, like, knuckle-tatted, just like crackhead, junkie degenerates who, like I said, a short 7 years ago, 12 years ago, would have just been like train-hopping crusties under a bridge somewhere. But now they're making six-figure salaries indoctrinating your fucking kids to hate you. So anyway, I don't know, that was cathartic for me. And if it was for you, please upvote the video and share it. And donate me money. Donation links in the description. Follow me on New Tech, because old tech sucks.